Hey guys, figured I would come at you with a Wrangler project update. You can see some big things have happened. Uh, I'm gonna go off of what I did in order of how I did it. Um, I think last you saw the engine, I had gotten it taken apart, and since then I've put it back together with a comp cams, Magnum cam, uh, Summit Racing crankshaft because the old crankshaft was really scratched up. So I got that new crankshaft in there. It's got new bearings and everything. I did the cam bearings and the freeze plugs on it. Um, I honed the cylinders a little bit, gave them a nice new surface. I put new piston rings in it. I cleaned up the pistons as best I could. Um, Trying to see if I could show you inside. No, there's no way. But I got the piston cleaned up. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. Um, got my Edelbrock intake on there, as well as the Holly 750 double pumper. Don't know if that's gonna be a good carb for this engine, but that's all I have right now. Summit Racing crank pulley, not crank pulley, harmonic balancer, aluminum water pump, and aluminum water pump pulley, alternator brackets, Chevy Performance thermostat housing, just some cast aluminum tall valve covers that we had, and a Wyand 7-quart oil pan with a high volume oil pump. Um, so I think first I did the front end. So I got new leaf spring shackle bushings in there, frame side and leaf spring side, obviously. They're polyurethane, so they're going to last a little bit longer, hopefully. And if you look there, the axle shaft tubes, I have plugs welded on them. I have a flat piece of steel for the diff cover. Same thing on the other side. I have a plug welded over the pinion hole and another plate covering the vacuum disconnect hole. And that is because there is nothing in this front end now for weight savings. And because I'm not going to be using this front axle, because it's a rear wheel drive transmission, obviously, I'm not going to be doing any of the work to make this thing 4-wheel drive again. I don't think it's worth it. Because, in all honesty, I don't plan on off-roading this thing really, with the amount of work I've done to it. Even if I just restored it as a 4-cylinder, Jeep transmission and everything, I wouldn't have off-roaded it again. At least not immediately. But yeah, so I gutted that axle, and now it's pretty much there just to be like a straight axle. I got my centerline rims on, or Outlaw, whatever rims. I don't know actually what they are. The weld center caps are from weld wheels that I had, but I'm not sure what these rims are. They look like American Racing Outlaw 1 rims, but I don't know. So I got the front end done. Then I got the front end taken off, the body of the front end taken off, to put the engine in. What ended up happening was we tried lifting when I put the engine in, I didn't have the heads on it or anything. It was just a short block with the oil pan on it. So I figured it was going to be light enough to where we could just lift it in by hand. So me and my 2 brothers went to lift it in by hand, and it was not easy. Barely got it over the frame, and then we proceeded to smash it into my motor mount bracket, and it knocked it off the frame. It broke the weld, which I'm honestly glad that happened, because I was able to re-weld it a little bit better. Doesn't look great, I know. Hopefully now it actually stays in there. That's probably one of my biggest stress points about this whole engine swap, is the welds on those motor mounts are, I only have a flux core welder, so they're not the best at all. and I'm really worried about them breaking, but hopefully they don't. Then I got the transmission put in. You can see I had to cut out the skid plate for the transmission, but also I am utilizing the not the holes that the manual transmission would go to, but it's those two holes that my Jeep didn't use them, but I don't know if maybe an automatic Jeep did. But turns out those line up perfectly with where the engine wants to be in the engine bay. When I had, this is a short tail shaft turbo 400, so I'm really happy about that. Got my flywheel on. I don't have my torque converter in because I'm not hooking up the transmission. It's just there to support the back of the engine. Theoretically, I could do a break-in on the engine, not have the transmission hooked up, because otherwise I would have to have a drive shaft made, and I would have to have all the other transmission stuff, so which I don't have right now. So I would rather be able to break in the engine and know that the engine's going to be good before I go and get a drive shaft made for it. That air cleaner is not on there permanently. That's just to have an air cleaner on there. It's my 86 Monte Carlo's air cleaner that I found in my basement, so I decided I'd put that on there as an homage. So that was out of order. So first I did the front axle stuff, then I rebuilt the engine, then I put it in, then I rebuilt the engine, then I did the quote-unquote body work, then I put it in. The body work basically consisted of me doing a really shitty Bondo job on all the holes that it had. This panel is really crappily welded in there, so I just schmooed over the welds so there's no big holes, but it really isn't that good of a job, and it's not final. Obviously, eventually, this car is going to get actual body work done to it by a professional shop. But, I mean, you could see this whole quarter is waffled in, which that was like that since I've had the car. And yeah, I mean, the body's not perfect, but I'm just trying to get it to a point where it's not rotting. You can see I got I got a sport bar for it. I had a family bar in it, but I didn't like those, and I figured a sport bar would look way cooler, and they do. I have Kirky aluminum bucket seats in here, or Jegs aluminum bucket seats, but they're Kirky style at least. I'm not really sure, but I got them off my brother. I got my steering column rebuilt, so that's all ready to go in. As far as what I need to be able to do the break-in on the engine, I need radiator, hoses, wiring, gauges, starter, all the ignition stuff, an alternator, and some sort of fuel system. Probably for the break-in, I'm just going to run it off a gas can. I have a fuel tank. I have the fuel tank that was on it when I took the car apart, and this is the electric EFI sending unit that I took apart because looking it up online, some people have said that they've done this kind of thing in the past, and what they do is they run a fitting inside the factory sock, and then they just run a piece of hose where the fuel pump would be, because the non-fuel and the carbureted fuel sending units for the 20-gallon plastic gas tanks are a ridiculous amount of money, like $300 for a sending unit without a fuel pump in it. So I figured I would rather just make my own. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm waiting on being able to buy all the stuff to do the engine break-in. I also have to get headers. I'm going to be getting Hedman fender well exit headers that go over and then in between the fender and the body. I think that would be really cool to have, and Summit sells them specifically for Jeeps with engine small block Chevy swaps. So yeah, I just have to get all the stuff to be able to do the engine break-in, and then hopefully the next video is either another update or me doing the engine break-in. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.